urging people to remain alert. It is also urging residents to evacuate as soon as possible if their area is under a tsunami warning and to stay away from coasts and river mouths if they live in areas under a tsunami advisory. The JMA has issued a tsunami warning to Iwate Prefecture as well as the Amami and Tokara Islands in Kagoshima Prefecture. Waves of over 1 meter have already hit the coast, but they can hit repeatedly and get higher. The JMA is urging people not to let their guards down. We haven't received any information on damage at the moment. We are looking into details and we'll keep you up to date as we learn more on this developing story.
津波警報が出ている
So
岩
the
手県
tsunami warning is in effect in Iwate Prefecture and Amami and Tokara Islands. So the residents in these areas, please head to the higher ground and protect yourself. So in Amami and Tokara Islands, Kagoshima Prefecture, about 3.5 hours has been passed since the issuance. And it is midnight and everyone may be suffering, but please encourage yourselves and stay in a safer place. So here, live view in Amami City, Kagoshima Prefectures, we cannot see anyone. So we assume that people are now evacuated to the safer place. So stay at the higher ground or the evacuation building. And we can see the lights near the port. However, this is midnight and you cannot check the sea level changes by yourself. So please stay away from these areas. So the information in evacuation.
In Tokunoshima, town of Kagoshima Island, at 3:36, the evacuation, the warning is issued to all residents on the island, Tokunoshima Island. I have a phone connection with the Ochitsu Island of Iwate Prefecture. Oguni Masahiro is the manager at the hotel. Mr. Oguni, hello. Thank you for accepting this call. Are you in a safe place now? Yes, we are just in front of the sea. I can see the sea very close from the port. Yes, the front desk of the hotel is on the second floor. So can I talk now? Yes. You said that you are at a hotel. Do you have guests? Yes, we have about 10 guests now staying with us. What kind of the other measures have you taken? When the advisory was issued, we made an announcement within the hotel, informing our guests of the advisory, and when the advisory was replaced with a warning, and then we urged people to take the safe measures, and we urged the guests to a higher floor. Because of this the warning, what specifically did you do at your hotel? At the front rail, we constantly observe the sea, and we remain alert so that we can immediately inform our guests of any news or any new developments. Thank you very much. I wish that you stay safe together with your guests. Thank you very much. Mr. Oguni, the front desk manager of our hotel, Hanagiku, Hanami, Sanriku in Iwate Prefecture. They moved the guests to a higher level of the building. These are the tsunami observations. This and the time shows that the high tide will reach the 4:12 at the Miyako Port, the 4:10 at Ominato, and the 4:11 and Kamaishi, and the 4:03 at Kuji Court. And the spring tide is approaching, and the variance between the ordinary level and the high tide is very large at this time of the year. So please they stay on alert and evacuate to a higher ground or a safer or higher place. And in Tokara and the Amami Islands, and full tide will be at the 6:55 at the Kagoshima, and the 6:35 at the Kominado Port, and the 6:55 a.m. at the Naze Port in Amami Islands. And the tide level is already rising now, and will reach at its peak at these times. We see a car on the street, but please do not go to the beaches to see the situation. Tsunami warning is still in place in Iwate and Amami and the Tokara Islands, and the Tsunami Advisory has been in place in the many areas on the Pacific coast of Japan. And in Hirono Township in Iwate Prefecture, about 10 evacuation centers are open, and the city officials are advising people to take shelter in these places. They haven't received any information of damage, but there are 14 people from the 14 people have already been taken shelter. And in Iwazumi Township in Iwate Prefecture, the city officials have established a emergency center, and as of 3 a.m. They haven't received any information of damage due to tsunami, but two people from two households have evacuated and stay in these shelters. They are urged to remain in a safe place.
This is in Hioriyama. We talked to the man who evacuated to Hioriyama in Ishinomaki City. First, I thought that this was an earthquake, but I heard that the tsunami arrived because of the volcanic eruption. Therefore, I decided to evacuate, so I really felt scary. When the earthquake occurred in the past, I experienced this, but this is the first time that I'm experiencing this. And so this is the emergency flash report news. This is Miyagi Prefecture, Minami Sanriku Town. We have a live report from the town. Tsunami Advisory is in effect in Minami Sanriku of Miyagi Prefecture. I'm in the coastal areas. I'm on the 6th floor of the hotel in the high ground. The video or the footage shows the port in Shizuoka. We cannot observe any tidal level changes as I see it. And I do not see any people either. About an hour ago, I could see police cars patrolling and calling on people to be on alert. And I also saw a fisherman trying to follow the ships. This was from Minami Sanriku Town of Miyagi Prefecture. Tsunami Warning is in Iwate Prefecture and Amami Tokara Islands. In Amami town of Kagoshima Prefecture, this is a port of the city. You can see the road, bridge, and also the surface of the water lit up. You cannot really observe what is going on, and it's not a time where you can just go to the seas and understand what is going on. And it is going to get brighter as time goes by, but do not go near the seas until the tsunami warning is lifted. Please stay in safe areas, and tsunami advisory are also in effect in various places. We've heard from the Professor Imamura Fumihiko from the Tohoku University over the phone, and he said that the tsunami was caused by the volcanic eruption, and this could potentially be caused by the atmospheric vibrations caused by the volcanic eruptions, and meaning that the cycle could be shorter and stronger and could have damage on the coastal areas. And the tsunami impact could continue for about half or a full day. And this is caused by the volcanic eruption, meaning that it is difficult to predict. And we cannot predict the sea level changes caused by the volcanic eruptions. The JMA says that the tidal level changes caused by the atmospheric pressure changes. But they use the same tsunami warning system to call on people to stay vigilant. It is dangerous near the seas or along the coastal regions, as with other tsunamis. Amami and Tokara Islands and Iwate prefectures are under tsunami warning. So those of you who are in these areas, please stay in safe places. And also along the Pacific coast from Hokkaido to Kagoshima, as well as Okinawa Prefecture, the Tsunami Advisory is in effect. Please do not get close to the seas or coastal areas and move away from the mouth of the river as well. This is Iwate Prefecture. You can see that it is very dark. It is difficult to understand what is going on. Even if the sky becomes brighter, do not get close to the seas. Do not go close to the seas or ports to check your ships or seas until the warnings or advisories are lifted. In those areas where the warnings are in effect, please stay in safe places until the warnings are lifted. On the left bottom, we are giving you the observation data of tsunami. In most of the Pacific coast side, the tsunami has been observed. This is the Muroto city of Kochi Prefecture. We've got a report that the vessel has been swept away, and in this footage you can see the vessels being moored.
So at 12:15 a.m., a 10-meter of tsunami was observed, and the second or the following waves could be higher. So the JMA said that this is different from normal tsunami, and this is a sea level changes according to atmospheric pressure change. But it is critical that you protect yourself and keep safe measures. So if you're living in areas under tsunami warnings, you should stay in safe places. And people in tsunami advisory areas, please do not go near the coastal areas or get into the ocean. Move away from the coast and please do not go back to the sea. So this is Hachinohe Port in the prefecture, and 60 centimeter of tsunami was observed at 2:35 a.m. And tsunami advisories are issued in various areas, and nearly 1 meter of tsunami has been observed in these areas. And also the height of the tide is changing, so please do not go near the ocean or the river mouth. So this is Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture. So here on the right bottom, these are areas under tsunami warnings and advisories. Red areas Iwate prefectures and Amami and Tokara islands of the Kagoshima prefectures, we have tsunami warnings in effect. And the expected height of the tsunami is still at 3 meters. And there could be more higher tsunami waves that could arrive in these areas. And the yellow highlighted areas from Hokkaido to Kagoshima prefectures, the Pacific coast, and Okinawa, we have Tsunami Advisory in effect. So please do not go near the river mouth and coastal areas. So we repeat that please do not go back to the ocean and check conditions there. And other than the information on the TV, we are also communicating the information on our apps. And we have the QR code in the left bottom. And if you would like to check the latest situation near you, you can use this QR code here. So this is Amami City in Kagoshima Prefecture. We have live view from here, and 1.2 meter of tsunami has been observed. And we have Miyaoka Kazuki of the JMA, and he gave a news conference at 2 a.m. So currently we have tsunami warnings at Amami and Tokara Islands, and also the Pacific coasts of the Hokkaido and onto the Miyakojima, Yaeyama areas. So on the Pacific coast side of the Japan archipelago, we have issued tsunami advisories. And also in areas under tsunami warnings, there's a concern that damage may occur. So people in coastal areas or riverside, please immediately head to safe places like higher grounds or evacuation building. So tsunami could hit repeatedly. So until all the warnings are lifted, please do not leave where you are if you're already evacuated to a safe place. And areas under tsunami advisories, in the ocean and the coastal areas, it is dangerous. So if you're in the ocean, please move away from the coast immediately. And sea currents could be fast. So until all the warnings or advisories are lifted, please do not go near coastal areas or get into the ocean. So until all the advisories are lifted, please do not go near the ocean or coastal areas. So the sea level changes are different from the normal earthquakes and tsunamis, and we cannot decide that this is actually a tsunami. However, there was a significant sea level changes that was observed, so to make people stay on alert, we use the existing tsunami warning system. So is there a possibility that the tsunami advisory is to be elevated to a warning? So the JMA is checking the sea level changes, and if there is a large change of sea levels and we decide that it should be upgraded to tsunami warning, if such sea level changes were observed, we would adequately issue tsunami warnings, meaning that we will give an upgrade. So we have tsunami warnings and advisories. Can you predict when it will be, those are to be lifted? Well, tsunami could continue for a prolonged period of time. So as I have said, it is different from the tsunami that was caused by normal earthquakes. So we cannot determine what is really happening. So to lift these warnings and advisories on tsunami, we cannot predict when exactly. However, it is dark, so please do not go near the beaches or coastal areas. And even if the sky gets brighter, please move away from the coast and take a good distance. And also, please check the latest information on tsunami observation. And if there is no more concern on the damage caused by these kind of sea level changes, we will be lifting these warnings and advisories. So on the left bottom, we have tsunami warnings issued to Iwate and Amami and Tokara Islands. The expected height of the tsunami is 3 meters high, and so wider areas of Japan archipelago along the Pacific coastal side, there are tsunami advisories issued. So people living in tsunami warning areas, please evacuate it.
The Japan Meteorological Agency has issued a tsunami warning for the Amami Islands and the Tokara Islands in the southwestern prefecture of Kagoshima early on Sunday. It later issued a warning for the northeastern prefecture of Iwate. Waves of up to 3 meters high could reach those areas. A tsunami advisory. An advisory is also in place in wide areas along the Pacific coast. These alerts came after the massive eruption on Saturday of a volcano in Tonga. A 1.2 meter tsunami was observed in the Kominato area of Amami Oshima Island at 11:55 p.m. on Saturday. A 1.1 meter wave was seen on Sunday in Iwate Prefecture's Kuji port at 2:26 a.m. 90-centimeter waves have also been observed in other locations along the Pacific coast. Even if one tsunami has reached a shore, others could follow. Higher waves may arrive after the initial ones. The Meteorological Agency is urging people to remain vigilant in the coastal areas where tsunami alerts have been issued. Local governments there are urging residents to evacuate as soon as possible. People are being advised to stay away from beaches and to avoid the mouths of rivers. This video was taken by a viewer in Setouchi town on Amami Oshima Island. We can see many cars trying to get to higher ground. Inside are people evacuating from their homes. The Japan Meteorological Agency held a news conference about the situation earlier.
So in the areas under tsunami warnings, there's a concern that damage may occur. People in coastal areas and riverside, please head to safe places like higher ground and evacuation buildings. Tsunami could hit repeatedly. So until all the warnings are lifted, please do not leave where you are if you're already evacuated to a safer place. And areas under tsunami advisories, it is dangerous in the ocean and near the coastal areas and beaches. So if you're in the ocean, please move away from the seawater and also take a good distance from the coast. Sea currents could continue to be fast, so until all the tsunami warnings and advisories are lifted, please do not go near the coastal areas or get into the ocean.
Miyaoka Kazuki advised people to stay alert. He said the impact is going to be felt for a long time. Tsunamis are usually generated by earthquakes, but this one occurred after a volcanic eruption. Miyaoka said the agency does not know at this time how the tsunami was generated. He also said the agency does not know when the warning will be lifted. An undersea volcanic eruption was observed off the South Pacific island of Tonga on Saturday. Satellite images show smoke from the volcano spread in a concentric manner. They also show the smoke had covered an area with a diameter of about 200 kilometers 1 hour later. Officials in Tonga say the cloud of ash reached a height of about 20,000 meters. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says tsunami waves measuring about 80 centimeters were observed in Tonga. It says waves of about 60 centimeters were seen in Samoa. Waves about 30 centimeters high were observed in Suva, the capital of Fiji. The city is about 700 kilometers northwest of the volcano. This footage shows a wave coming from far away and reaching the shore of Suva. Several more waves arrive after that as residents look on. People in Fiji say the volcanic eruption sounded like the roar of thunder in their country. Many areas along the Pacific coast are expecting high tides in the coming hours. These areas are under a tsunami warning or advisory. The JMA is urging people to remain alert. It is also urging residents to evacuate as soon as possible if their area is under a tsunami warning, and to stay away from coasts and river mouths if they live in areas under a tsunami advisory. The meteorological agency has issued a tsunami warning to Iwate Prefecture as well as the Amami and Tokara Islands in Kagoshima Prefecture. Waves of over 1 meter have already hit the coast, but they can hit repeatedly and get higher. The JMA is urging people not to let their guard down. We go to our simultaneous interpreter.
見に行かないようにしてください。岩手県によりますと、午前
According to Iwate Prefecture at 3:20 a.m., no information of damage has been reported, and this prefectural officials continue collecting information. According to people who evacuated to the Hioriyama in Ishinomaki City, I expected there was the earthquake when I received the alert, but I'm very worried now. I didn't experience the great Ishaban earthquake, and I was alerted by the emergency information. And the local meteorological agency held a news conference after 1 a.m. and urged people not to get near the sea. And Iwate Prefecture is now under tsunami warning, and the damage can occur in this area. So the people in the low-lying areas are urged to take the refuge in higher places immediately, and please they remain in a safe place as long as the warning is in place. Yesterday, and Japan time yesterday, the large volcanic eruption occurred in Tonga, and the tsunami warning and the tsunami advisory have been issued covering wide the areas of Japan. This is the live from Fukuoka. Yesterday afternoon Japan time, a major volcanic eruption, and in Amami and the Tokara Islands are now under a tsunami warning today, and the tsunami already reached these islands, and the highest expected the height of tsunami is the 3 meters, and the 1 a.m. yesterday, 1:10 p.m. yesterday was the large volcanic eruption in Tonga, and the 80 centimeters of tsunami was recorded in Tonga, and no damage was expected as of yesterday, according to the meteorological agency. The tsunami advisory is now added. Now, western part of Nagasaki is now under tsunami advisory, and the 1 meter of tsunami can reach, and also a western part of Kagoshima is now under a tsunami advisory, and again 1 meter of tsunami can reach this area as well. And the map shows the area under tsunami warning and tsunami advisory. And the tsunami warning is under the area marked red, and now western part of Nagasaki and western part of Kagoshima prefectures are now added to areas under tsunami advisory. And areas under tsunami advisory are marked with yellow on the map on the right, and the people are urged to stay on high alert. In Kagoshima and the Nagasaki are now under tsunami advisory. Once again, we come back to Fukuoka broadcasting NHK broadcasting station. As of the 12:15, tsunami warning was issued to tsunami Amami and Tokara Islands in Kagoshima Prefecture, and the tsunami advisory is under Taunami and Yakushima and the Kagoshima, Daitojima, Yaeyama Island regions. And in Nagasaki, western part is now under tsunami advisory. And Kominato of Amami Oshima, 11:15 p.m. yesterday, 1 meter of more than 1 meter of tsunami was observed, and in Kumano Tanegashima Islands, the 70 centimeters of tsunami was observed, and also Minami Oshima Island in Kagoshima 70 centimeters tsunami was observed, and the Shibushi port in Kagoshima Island 60 centimeters of tsunami was observed, and Nijina Aburatsubo in 60 centimeters, and Tokara Islands in Nakanoshima area 50 centimeters at 1:45 a.m. and the Miyazaki port 50 centimeters, and Tanegashima Nishiomote port in Kagoshima 50 centimeters at 1:39 this morning, and the Hyuga in Miyazaki the 30 centimeters, and the Nanjo in Okinawa Prefecture 30 centimeters of tsunami was observed. High waves have already hit these areas, and the wave heights can grow further, and the tsunami waves they will hit the coastal areas repeatedly. And the Hyuga, the city of Miyazaki Prefecture, the evacuation order issued at the 12:50 this morning, and the Kagoshima Prefecture also issued in Yamato-son, Yoroncho, Kikaicho, and Setouchi of Amami Oshima, and Tokunoshima also issued the evacuation order to their residents. And in Kadokawa-tan of Miyazaki Prefecture, I have the talk with the local fire officials. There are about 60 cars taking refuge in our area, and the people now we have the new tsunami height observations in Bakugazaki city in Kagoshima at the 152 60 centimeters, and Owarai port in Ibaraki the 60 centimeters, and the Owarai port the tsunami is now rising. These are new measurements in Ibaraki Prefecture Owarai port at 3:45. 60 centimeters of tsunami was observed, and the tide level is now rising, and a higher level of tsunami can hit this port. These are the new measurements in Bakugazaki, Kagoshima, 60 centimeters, and again 60 centimeters in Owarai port in Ibaraki Prefecture, which is now rising, and higher waves can reach this Owarai port. It's still completely dark outside, and it's difficult to see the sea change, but you are urged to take refuge in a safer place and stay in a safe area. Once again, we have warnings and advisory in Iwate and Tokara Islands and Amami Islands. A tsunami warning is in effect, and also on the Pacific, the coast areas, the tsunami advisory is in place, and the western part of Nagasaki and Kagoshima prefectures are now under tsunami advisory as well. You could call your friends and your acquaintances living in low-lying areas and urge them to take refuge in higher grounds. within Iwate Prefecture. The high tide is coming at this time.
So those areas are reaching the full tide. The sea level could become higher if the full tide coincides with the tsunami. So continue to evacuate until the warnings are lifted. Iwate Prefecture, the tsunami warning is in effect. According to Rikuzen Takara City, as of 4 a.m., they have received no reports of damage, but 9 holes, 22 people have evacuated to the shelter. In Iwate Prefecture, Rikuzen Takara City, there are 9 households, 22 people evacuated at their shelter. There are people who have already evacuated. Please stay in safe places. And tsunami advisories may spread to other regions. Please keep yourself safe and do not get close to the seas. In Rikuzen Takara City, there are people who have evacuated to the shelter. Please evacuate to safe places. This is a live report. Iwate Prefecture, Ofunato City. This is a shelter in the public hall. The shelter has been opened in this Ofunato City of Iwate Prefecture. After the tsunami warning has been issued, nearly 90 minutes have passed. And after the warning has been issued, we are seeing residents evacuate to this place. This is a Japanese room. At least 40 people have gathered here. And we also have a very large gymnasium to accept more residents. We talked to a woman in her 50s who evacuated to this place. She said that when the tsunami warning was issued, she evacuated to higher grounds and stayed at her home, but because the warning was issued afterwards, she decided to evacuate to the shelter. She said that she recalled of the Great East Japan earthquake 10 years ago and became very anxious because the warning has been issued. And this Ofunato City is collecting the information on disaster. So this is the Kuji city of Iwate Prefecture. We are reaching the high tide at this time of the day. In Miyako City, it's February 11. When the tide, the tsunami overlaps with the full tide, the sea level could become very higher. Please evacuate until the warnings or advisories are lifted. Now, new information on tsunami in Bakugazaki city of Kagoshima, 60 centimeters. Owarai port, 60 centimeters as well, so it's rising. And Choshi of Chiba Prefecture, as of 4 a.m., 30 centimeter tsunami was observed. It's rising. And Nagasaki port, Matsudae, a 20 centimeter tsunami was observed around 3 o'clock. In Ibaraki and Choshi City, the tsunami height is rising. The tsunami warning is in effect in Iwate Prefecture and Amami and Tokara Islands, and the advisory is in effect from Hokkaido to Kagoshima on the Pacific coast and Nagasaki West, Kagoshima western area, as well as many places in Okinawa. This footage is the Kuji city of Iwate Prefecture. It is very dark, can't tell the port situation. We encourage people to stay in safe places. In Iwate Prefecture, as of 4 a.m., it reached its full tide. So now it has reached its full tide. And at 4:10 in Ofunatoshi, Kamaisi, 4:20, and so forth. And this is the coastal areas in Iwate Prefecture. They are reaching its high tide between 4 and 5, meaning that the sea level could become higher if it overlaps with the tsunami or coincides with the tsunami arrival. This is the fishing port. You can see the ships. You may be worried about the ships, but the tsunami warning is in effect here, so you do not get close to the port or seas. It is very difficult to see the seas or oceans, the conditions, therefore do not get close to the seas.
So the information and evacuation. So Rikuzen Takata, Iwate Prefecture says that there are no reports of damages, but 9 households, a total of 27 residents have evacuated to the shelter according to Rikuzen Takata City in Iwate Prefecture. The city says that a total of 9 households or the 27 residents there have evacuated to the shelters. So people are continuing to evacuate to the shelters. So if you are in a tsunami advisory areas, please continue evacuating. And until the tsunami warnings are lifted, please continue evacuating. So the Iwate Prefecture and Amami and Tokara Islands in Kagoshima Prefectures, the tsunami warning is in effect. So tsunami warning is issued to Iwate Prefecture and Amami and Tokara Islands, and the expected height of the tsunami is 3 meters. And JMA says that it is difficult to predict about the tsunami, so please continue to evacuate because the following waves could get higher. Please stay on alert and keep vigilant. So the tsunami information that have been observed until at this point. So in Amami, Oshima Kominato, 1.2 meters. Kuji, Iwate Prefecture, 1.1 meters. Chichijima, Ogasawara, Tosa Shimizu, Kochi Prefecture. Gobo, Wakayama, Hokkaido, Hamanaka Town. Kushimoto, Wakayama, 90 centimeters of tsunamis have been observed. So the tsunami observations at this point. So Muroto, Kochi Prefecture, Hachijojima Island, Hiyane, Tokyo, 80 centimeters of tsunami has been observed. Tanegashima Island, Kumano, Kagoshima, Ogunahama Port, Fukushima Prefecture, Omaegaki Port, Shizuoka, and other areas in Kagoshima have observed 70 centimeters of tsunami. So Ishinomaki, Ayukawa, Miyagi, 70 centimeters. Tokachi Port, Hokkaido, Hirowa Town, Urakawa Town, as well as Shibuchi Port in Kagoshima Prefecture, Aburatsu Port, and Toba, Miyazaki Prefecture, and Tahara Aichi Prefecture, 60 centimeters. Makurasaki, Kagoshima, Hachinohe Port, Aomori, Obarai Port, Ibaraki Prefecture had observed 60 centimeters of tsunami. And you can see the red arrow here at Obarai Port in Ibaraki, meaning that the tsunami waves are rising and there could be higher tsunami waves that could hit this area. So Hanasaki, Nemuro, Hamasaki, Hokkaido, and Erimo, Hokkaido, and Wakayama Prefectures and other areas, 50 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Tokushima Minamicho in Kagoshima Prefectures, and also Nakanoshima, Amami, and Tokara Islands, and Kuwano in Mie Prefecture, and Tanegashima Island, Nishin, Omote, and Soma Port, and Tateyama in Chiba Prefectures, 50 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. So these are the tsunami observations informations. So Hachijojima, Kaminado, and Tosa in Kochi, and Kushiro Port in Hokkaido Prefectures, 50 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And we have a report from Sendai Bureau of NHK. So this is from Sendai. So the Tonga volcanic eruption has caused JMA to issue tsunami warnings on tsunami Iwate Prefecture and other areas are now under Tsunami Advisory. So the JMA says that in Tohoku region, Tsunami Warning is issued to Iwate Prefecture, and the expected height of the tsunami is 3 meters high. So this is Kujiport in Iwate Prefecture. So at 2:20 a.m., 1.1 meter tsunami have been observed. So Iwate Prefecture is now under Tsunami Warning. And on Hamaport in Fukushima Prefecture, 70 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Sendai Port, 70 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Ayukawa in Ishinomaki, 70 centimeters of tsunami have been observed and 2:15 a.m. And Hachinoke, Aomori Prefecture, 60 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Soma, Fukushima Prefecture, 50 centimeters of tsunami have been observed in 1:50 a.m. And Ishinomaki Port at 2:05 a.m. observed tsunami. And Mutsu Ogawara, 40 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. So tsunami warning is issued here. 40 centimeters of tsunami have been hit in this area.
In Ofunato Port, 30 centimeters, and the Mutsu Port in Aomori and Sekinehama at the 25, the 50 centimeters. In Iwate prefectures, 3 meters of tsunami can occur, and the tsunami wave they can be higher, and the heights can change abruptly. And please do not go to the beach or the mouth of the sea to see the situation. According to Iwate prefectural officials, as of the 3 a.m., there is no information about damage, and they continue to collect information for possible damage. In Ishinomaki, there is the high ground, and people took refuge there. I received immediately a warning. I thought of earthquake, but it was the tsunami caused by a volcanic eruption. I worried. I wasn't here when the Great East Japan earthquake occurred, but this is the first time that I experienced the emergency information on the coastal area. At 2:20 a.m., local meteorological agency officials held a press conference, and they warned people not to go to the coastal area. A tsunami warning was issued to Iwate Prefecture. So, for in areas under tsunami warning, damage can occur. So people in the low-lying areas must take refuge, and please stay in a safer place as long as the tsunami warning is in place. The high tide has reached in the Iwate Prefecture, and the tsunami heights can be higher when it reaches the sea. It reaches the coastal area at the time of the full tide. This is the information from this is the footage from Sendai, NHK Sendai. As you have heard, tsunami warning has been issued to Iwate and Tokara and Amami Oshima Islands. After 4 a.m., the full tide, high tide is reached in Iwate coastal area of Iwate Prefecture, and the tsunami waves can be higher. It's difficult to see the condition of the sea in the dark, so please don't go to the beach or port area, and if there's any breakwater or the buffer, the impact of the tsunami can directly hit the coastal area in Tokunoshima, in Kagoshima at the 12:30. The evacuation order was issued to all residents on the island, and all the people are urged to evacuate to a safer place.
The Japan Meteorological Agency issued a tsunami warning for the Amami Islands and the Tokara Islands in the southwestern prefecture of Kagoshima early on Sunday. It later issued a warning for the northeastern prefecture of Iwate. Waves up to 3 meters high could reach those areas. A tsunami advisory is also in place in wide areas along the Pacific coast. These alerts came after the massive eruption on Saturday of a volcano in Tonga. A 1.2-meter tsunami was observed in the Kominato area of Amami Oshima Island at 11:55 p.m. on Saturday. A 1.1-meter wave was seen on Sunday in Iwate Prefecture's Kuji port at 2:26 a.m. 90-centimeter waves have also been observed in other locations along the Pacific coast. The Japan Coast Guard has sent patrol boats and planes to see if coastal areas have been damaged, but officials say no reports of damage had been received as of 4 a.m. Sunday. Even if one tsunami has reached ashore, others could follow. Higher waves may arrive after the initial ones. The Meteorological Agency is urging people to remain vigilant in the coastal areas where tsunami alerts have been issued. Local governments there are urging residents to evacuate as soon as possible. People are being advised to stay away from beaches and to avoid the mouths of rivers. This video was taken by a viewer in Setouchi town on Amami Oshima Island. We can see many cars trying to get to higher ground. Inside are people evacuating from their homes. The Japan Meteorological Agency held a news conference about the situation earlier.
津波警報を発表している地域では
In the areas where the tsunami warnings are issued, there's a concern that damage may occur. So people in the coastal areas and the riverside, please immediately evacuate to safe places like higher ground or evacuation building. And tsunami could hit repeatedly. So until all the warnings are lifted, please do not leave where you are if you're already evacuated to a safer place. And areas under Tsunami Advisory, it is dangerous in the ocean or the coastal areas, so please move away from the coast immediately. And sea currents could be fast. So until all the warnings and advisories are lifted, please do not go near coastal areas or get into the ocean.
しないようにしてください。
Miyaoka Kazuki advised people to stay alert. He said the impact is going to be felt for a long time. Tsunami are usually generated by earthquakes, but this one occurred after a volcanic eruption. Miyaoka said the agency does not know at this time how the tsunami was generated. He also said the agency does not know when the warning will be lifted. An undersea volcanic eruption was observed off the South Pacific island of Tonga on Saturday. Satellite images show smoke from the volcano spread in a concentric manner. They also show the smoke had covered an area with a diameter of about 200 kilometers 1 hour later. Officials in Tonga say the cloud of ash reached a height of about 20,000 meters. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says tsunami waves measuring about 80 centimeters were observed in Tonga. It says waves of about 60 centimeters were seen in Samoa. Waves about 30 centimeters high were observed in Suva, the capital of Fiji. The city is about 700 kilometers northwest of the volcano. This footage shows a wave coming from far away and reaching the shores in Suva. Several more waves arrive after that as residents look on. People in Fiji say the volcanic eruption sounded like a roar of thunder in their country. Many areas along the Pacific coast are expecting high tides in the coming hours. These areas are under a tsunami warning or advisory. The JMA is urging people to remain alert as these conditions could generate higher waves than expected. It is also urging residents to evacuate as soon as possible if their area is under a tsunami warning, and to stay away from coasts and river mouths if they live in areas under a tsunami advisory. The JMA also issued a tsunami warning to Iwate Prefecture as well as the Amami and Tokara Islands. We go to our simultaneous interpreter.
時間以上かかることがあります。
May take longer. Tsunami could become higher.
関東の沿岸は各地で午前6
The
時
coastal areas of Kanto, it is reaching full tide as of 6 a.m. Some areas already have reached full tide. If it coincides with the tsunami, the sea levels could become higher. JMA says it may upgrade the advisory to warning if that happens. Now on evacuation, in Chiba Prefecture, as of 4 a.m., at 12 cities and towns along the coastal areas, evacuation order has been issued. In Tateyama City, Asahi City, Katsura City, Kamogawa City, Minami Boso City, Sosa City, Isumi City, Oami Shirasato City, and Ichinomiya Town, and Shirako Town, and Onjuku Town, and Chosei Mura Village. Evacuation order has been issued in those places. Please move away from the port and coastal beaches as soon as possible. And evacuation center has been issued in some municipalities in Kanto. In Hitachi City of Ibaraki, as by 140, they have opened evacuation centers in the schools. This person says that it was very scary, and they decided to open evacuation centers and accept residents to evacuate. And NHK reported the police, municipalities, and fire stations, but they have not received any reports of damage. According to Ibaraki Prefecture Disaster Prevention Center, in Tokai Village, the Daini nuclear power plant and other power plants have not reported any abnormalities. The coastal areas of Kanto between 4 to 6 a.m. Will reach full tide and could affect the tidal levels. In Ibaraki Prefecture, Owarai Port, as of 4:32, it reached full tide, and 4:43 Kagoshima Port, and Chiba Prefecture Choshi, 4:46, and Katsura City, 4:53, Tateyama City at 4:57, and Odawara City of Kanagawa around 4:57 in Misaki Gyoko Port, Miura City around 5:08, and Aburatsubo Miura City about 5:08. This is the time of full tide. In Izoshima of Izushoto Island around 5:08, in Tsubota Miyakejima around 5:21, in Hachijojima Nema it's around 5:35. In Kagoshima around 5:35, and Ako Miyakejima Ako 5:26, and Hachijojima Kaminato around 5:30. And Ogasawara Shoto Chichijima Island around 6:02. These are the time of reaching high tides. And Numatsu City of Shizuoka around 5:33, and Shimizu Port of Shizuoka City around 5:34, and Shimota City around 5:29, and Ito City around 5:13. The full tide is expected to come around 6 a.m. in the coastal areas of Kanto. When that coincides with the tsunami, the sea level could become higher. The sea level is becoming very volatile. The JMA says that they may upgrade the tsunami advisory to tsunami warnings if the tide level goes up. In coastal areas of Kanto, Tsunami Advisory has been issued from around 12 a.m. And those areas where Tsunami Advisory is in effect, do not get close to beaches or near the mouth of the river. As morning arrives, do not get close to the beaches or seas if the advisory is still in effect. We encourage also the fishermen to not get close to the port or seas, and continue to check on the latest information.
So Kagoshima Prefecture, starting from 6:30 to 7 a.m., it might reach full tide and it could get higher. So please stay on alert. So the tsunami information has been observed until up to this point. So Amami Oshima Island, Kominato in Kagoshima Prefecture, 1.2 meters. Kuji Port, Iwate, 1.6. Chichijima Island, Tokyo, Tosa Shimizu, Kochi, Wakayama, Gobo, and Hamanaka Town, Hokkaido, Kushimoto, Wakayama, 90 centimeters tsunami have been observed. Muroto City, Kochi, Yaene, Hachijo have observed 80 centimeters of tsunami. Tanegashima Island tsunami, Kagoshima, and Honahama Port, Fukushima, Omazaki Port, Shizuoka, and Minami Osumi, Kagoshima, 70 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. So the tsunami observations at this point. Ishinomaki, Ayukawa, Miyagi, 70 centimeters. Hiro Town, Tokachi Port, Hokkaido, 60 centimeters. Urakawa Town, Hokkaido, Shibushi Port, Kagoshima, Tahara, Aichi Prefecture, Nishinanchi, Aburatsu Port in Miyazaki, and Toba, Mie have observed 60 centimeters of tsunami. Bakugazaki in Kagoshima Prefecture, Chinohe Port in Aomori, and Owarai Port in Ibaraki Prefecture, 60 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And there's a red arrow in the Obaraki Port, Ibaraki Prefecture, meaning that the height of the tsunami is rising. So tsunami observations, information. Nemuro, Hanasaki, Hokkaido, Miyazaki, Eremo, Hokkaido, Nachu, Katsura, 60 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Minami, Tokushima, and Tokara, Nakanoshima, Hokkaido, Ibaraki, Kashima, Kumano, Mie, and Tanegashima, Nishinomate, and Soma Port in Fukushima, Tateyama, Chiba, 50 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Kaminato, Hachijo Island, Nakasosa, and Kushiro in Hokkaido, 50 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. There are wide areas that had observed tsunami, and some areas are seeing tsunami wave higher than what is expected, so please stay on alert. So tsunami observations, lower than 40 centimeters. Numazu City, Shizuoka, Kozushima Island, Tokyo, Shirahama Town, Wakayama, and Katsura, and Chiba Prefecture, 40 centimeters. And Ishinomaki, Minami Izu, Owase, and Misaki Port, and Mitsu Odawara Port, and Miyako Port in Iwate, 40 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. And Kamaishi Port, Iwate Prefecture, also 40 centimeters of tsunami. And Ofunato Port in Iwate, Nanjo City, Okinawa, Nakaguzu Port in Okinawa, and Hyuga Hososhima Port in Miyazaki, and Miyako Island, Okinawa, Tomakomai Nishi Port had observed 30 centimeters of tsunami. Amami Oshima Island, Naze Port, Kagoshima, Koji Port, Wakayama Port, Yaizu City in Shizuoka Prefecture, Hakodate Port in Hokkaido, Shimoda City, Shizuoka, and Mutsushi Sekinehama in Aomori Prefectures, 30 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. Miura, Aburatsubo, Kanagawa Prefecture, Chosei City, Chiba Prefecture, Tsubota, Miyake, Tsubota, Izu, and also Shimizu Port in Shizuoka, and Naha Port in Okinawa, and Minami Daito, Okinawa, 20 centimeters of tsunami. And the red arrow indicates that the height of the tsunami is rising. And Komatsushima Port in Tokushima and Ishigaki Island, Okinawa, Handa Kinura Port, and also Yonaguni Island and Nagasaki Port in Matsugae, 20 centimeters of tsunami have been observed. Wide areas are now seeing tsunami, and there could be higher waves hitting the area, so please do not let your guard down. So this is Amami City in Kagoshima Prefecture. This is live view here. So here, Amami and Tokara Islands in Kagoshima Prefectures, the expected height of the tsunami is 3 meters. And also Iwate Prefecture is under tsunami warning too. And from the Hokkaido to Kagoshima prefectures on Pacific coast with Okinawa prefecture, as well as Nagasaki West and Kagoshima Western area, the warnings are issued. So the red areas indicate that they are under tsunami warning, and the yellow highlighted areas are under tsunami advisories. So the tsunami warning is indicating that there could be a tsunami wave up to 3 meters or around, and the JMA says that it is difficult to predict the exact situation of the tsunami. And within Iwate Prefecture at around 4 a.m. and also in Amami and Tokara Islands at around 6:30 to 7 a.m. there will be a full tide, and if it coincides with tsunami, the sea level could get higher. So please remain vigilant.
And this view is from the Amami of the Kagoshima Prefecture, and the high tide is coming soon, so the tsunami waves can be pushed up. So you are urged to stay vigilant. We have the communication with Mr. Yohei Takeoka of the Kushimoto town official of Wakayama Prefecture. Hello. Are you in a safe place now? Yes, I'm in the main building of the Kushimoto town office. How far is it from the sea? This building is 23 meters above the sea level. So anyway, you are high enough from the sea level. Yes. Have you heard of any damage? No, we haven't been informed of any damage so far. How have you observed the situation around you? In an hour, the high tide is coming. We see a certain variation of the sea level, but it's within the 1 meters. So the tide is coming in an hour. But how have you informed of the people? The Tsunami Advisory was issued, and since then we use the disaster radio system, and 12:40 we also use the radio system announcing that the people should evacuate to higher grounds. How have people spending time? We have opened one evacuation center, and 8 people from 4 families have come and stay there. So the tide level is rising. So how would you like to inform people further? Well, in an hour, the tide level will be higher, and the daybreak. So dangerous at the time of the high tide. So we continue to urge the people to evacuate to a safer place. Thank you. Just been Mr. Takeoka of Kushimoto town of Wakayama Prefecture. That some people have already taken shelter, but the people are warned and urged to take shelter in a safer place. And this is Tosashimi's city of Kochi Prefecture. This is the footage taken at the 12:20 a.m. today, and the sea level is changing, and the fishing boats are moving, but fishers are warned not to come near to the port in order to check their ships. But even it becomes brighter in the morning, you mustn't get near the sea. This is the footage taken at around 12:20 a.m. and the tsunami waves are arriving at these areas, affecting the coastal areas, like the boats like them. And in Kamaishi city, Iwate Prefecture, people are taking refuge at a higher place. And this man says that we are very worried that I was really surprised when I received the information on my cell phone, and even though I haven't read all the information, so I decided to take refuge here immediately. And in Ishinomaki City, in Hioriyama, which is 60 meters above the sea level, we have met some man. I received the warning on my phone, and I thought that was the earthquake, but that was in fact the tsunami caused by volcanic eruption.